Deputy Fitzmaurice. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks for the opportunity in speaking. I want to welcome the people from Roscommon. I'm sort of going to go to the nuts and bolts part of this because I'm not going to rehash questions that was asked before. My understanding to either of you, Rosemary or Tony, is that the hotel model is in its infancy and that it's going to be like a 10-year model that you're rolling out, and that the idea would be to put the two things in parallel. There was a 6-year extension sought, I think, with the Divine World Missionaries, is that right? And that they were willing to do that.
That's correct, yes. Yeah.
Right. In the lease that's there at the moment, just say you were to just finish up at the end of the month, there's 7 years of heating, which would be 40,000 a year, that you'd be obliged to do under the lease that would be there, and fix, say, to keep the upgrade of a place, to probably cost up on 300,000. Would that be fair to say? Well, if the heating is costing,
yeah, it depends where we end up having to go in terms. As I say, we have to negotiate with the landlords.
But you'd be obliged to hold the lease until
not necessarily. No.
2026 the lease, isn't that right?
Not necessarily, though. Yeah, 2026 is the lease. Yeah.
Right. So, but if the landlord said, "Look, we cannot," it's in the contract in 2026. You have to keep it upgraded.
Yeah, I don't envisage that. But you're correct in the point. The lease is up to 2026. We don't have any rent to pay.
If the money was found in the morning and on your 10-year, you know, and I don't think, in fairness, anybody here, there's nobody against hotel models. You know, we believe that people need the choice to make sure. Do you know what I mean? I think that needs to be got across. Would there be a commitment there up to, say, if it's 6 years that you were looking for the lease to 2032, would there be a commitment there to keep the buildings, to keep the Cuisle going to 2032 if the money was found in the morning?
Do you want me to take that?
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose there's kind of a lot of questions in there. I'm just trying to untangle them a little bit myself. But I suppose if the lease was extended...
It's not meant to be loaded.
No, I know it's not. I'm just trying to... It's been a long afternoon, Deputy, so we're...
Can I...
You can, of course, yeah.
If you don't mind, if we can switch the light here. Yeah. I suppose just for context, and you know this, Michael, I'm 12 years involved in Cuisle. I'm based in Mayo. I'm only an hour from it, and I know the service fairly well, and have worked with Jean as a manager to develop it. There was absolutely no plans whatsoever to leave Cuisle.
Yeah, but would you think,
I'll answer it this way.
Would you think that there's a foreseeable future for the next 10 to 12 years if everything was ideal?
That's the road we were going.
Right. Okay.
That's the road we were going.
That's all I want to know. In the line of, my understanding, in speaking to you even in the last few weeks, the boiler house was the only place there was a concern. Is it about asbestos? Is that right? No,
there was broken asbestos in the boiler room, and that's why we had the.
Yeah, but that was the only place.
No, it wasn't. No. In the report, there's asbestos in various places, including the kitchens, the talking about roof tiles. There's a number of places, but the main one was that in terms of the unknown and the heating.
Is there enough? I presume there's a. When is the fire search expiry date, or when is it due?
Oh God, I couldn't answer that one. Sorry, I
presume it's next year sometime, is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right, because if there's a valid fire search, then to be okay. A question for you. Obviously, if you haven't the money to do something, you have the drawings and the specs done of what's required, and be it the Divine World Missionaries, or be it the state or whoever, I presume that it's out of taxpayers' money that was paid for. Is there an opportunity, if there was political willingness and the Divine World Missionaries working with yourselves and the state, is there an opportunity to know or to see drawings or specs that's required, or what you're looking at?
I have met both the rector on one hand, and more recently, last week, I met with the provincial in Dublin.
And they have a copy of it?
No, they haven't a copy. We gave them sight of the whole lot and went through it with them, including the drawings, and the QS cost estimate, because there was questions whether they even existed or whether we had plans to close the place down. So we gave him sight of those, and my understanding even the meeting was that he was very satisfied and recognised the volume of work and expenditure that went in bringing it to that point. What we also spoke about was, in terms of the lease, which you referred to earlier, was that these plans, after IWA's time, will be of no use to IWA per se, and that we'd be happy to talk to them about use of that work to date, so that it wouldn't go to waste. The reason we didn't give them a copy is, as we would have communicated previously, people are still talking about the money coming forward. Under the EU procurement directives, we have to be very careful. In fact, our QS wasn't happy that we were even saying 1.15 million estimate as of last year. But we would totally compromise everybody if we provide it in the open, the plans. But they're there, they've been witnessed by the landlord, they'll confirm that to you. And we're more than happy to, they're of no use to us if we're not in Cuisle.
Ms. Keogh, Rosemary, the staff that's there, and look at it, needs to be on that work there, are ferociously committed. It's not just about the work, it's about, it's nearly, it's a belief in what they're doing. If this committee asked you 2 questions, or voted, or whatever way we do it here, to postpone, first of all, the layoff of staff for 6 months period, and that's not going to make or break anyone. And I understand that you have to comply with fire regs and all that. There's no one disputing any of that. I would think if you have a fire search that you're in a fair good place. And that, would you be willing to bring that to your board? And for those 6 months, not basically the non-closure, to give, and there's no one saying there'll be a magic wand, that the public reps and the state, or the Minister for Health's office and yourselves, that we try and work together. In fairness, you've said it's a good model, it's not something you want to do. If there can be a solution, is there any sense in dropping the hammer at the end of the month? If, and there's, just to give the 6 months, and let's see then, it may or may not, but let's see after that. Would you be willing to go to your board and bring that to them for maybe a successful outcome? You know?
Yeah, I suppose, as I stated earlier, Michael, if I may, because we've met before, if we receive a proposal from the committee, we will bring it back to our board, be it with regard to the jobs or be it with regard to the building itself. I would just add the word of caution with regard to the building and the board's legal obligations around that. But if we receive a proposal from the committee, we will bring it back to our board.